Hi, my name's Colleen Redmond, and I have just moved to Kincardine in the last year. I lived in London before, in London North Centre. So my question actually is for Carol Mitchell. And in the Premier McGuinty's progress reports, it talks about several things, and you mentioned a few of them. It says that there are being built or have been built 18 new hospitals. I'm wondering where they are. I know that St. Catherine's Hospital was closed and a new building is being put there, but where are the other 17? And where are they? If you're talking about additions, that's not called a new build. And I think that kind of goes to show that, you know, a few words can be very misleading. I know there's work on other hospitals, but they're not new builds, so I'm wondering why that's put in your progress report.
Well, thank you. Oh, is it? Okay. Thank you very much for the question. And I apologize, I cannot name 18 new hospitals. I can get you the piece of information. What I can speak about specifically is the work that's happening with our hospitals right here in Huron-Bruce. Since we formed government in 2003, we have seen renovations, and specifically, I'll name those sites: Exeter, Goderich, and now we have announced Wingham, Kincardine, and Southampton. And so I do know that there have been new hospitals that are being built. I'd be pleased to provide you with the information. And one of the things that really is important to, when you look at, is when the platform is presented, there is an accounting. And so we have had our platform reviewed by the chief economist from the Scotia Bank, and part of our platform is a commitment to infrastructure. And contained within that is the commitment to the healthcare sector for hospitals. So I apologize I can't name the 18. We'll get them for you. I can speak specifically to what's happening on the ground in Huron-Bruce, and there's a lot happening on the healthcare sector. So thank you. My apologies.
I look forward to getting that list, because I searched your web and I couldn't find anything.
Yes, and we wouldn't have the 18 listed on my
Would you please leave?
But we'll get that to you.
Would you leave your email and contact information? Our manager, and she'll give it to Carol for after. Yes, please. Questions been asked and answered.
Do we get a chance to respond?
Do you want the other candidates to have any comments, or was that specific targeted?
Well, that was a specific targeted question, but if the others have comments, I'd certainly love to hear them.
It was specific comments. So, candidates, do you want to speak to this, or do you want to let
I'd like to.
all three of you?
Do I get to rebut?
Yes, you'll get 2 minutes at the end. So, Grant will go first, then Lisa, and then Dennis.
This is a perfect example of that kind of attack politics, that kind of taking things down. Last night I had a conversation with somebody from the Kincardine Hospital who's been working there, and was told during the announcement that the only way that those needed work would be done there would be if the Liberals were re-elected. That's offensive politicking. It's absolutely unnecessary, particularly when the other two parties in the legislature actually supported the program that this infrastructure is going forward to. So I think we need to really take a step back about the kind of politics we have and the kind of people that we're sending to Queen's Park, so that they're there to work together to find solutions, not to just try and beat each other down.
Lisa?
If I may, out of respect for the question that was asked, when people are asking questions based on facts and figures and asking questions based on public reports, I don't understand how that could be deemed an attack. They're just wanting to seek out more information, and our constituents throughout the riding should have that right to hear and ask questions based on the facts that they're hearing and reading about. It wasn't an attack, I don't believe, and we have to be careful about that we don't hide behind an attack.
Thank you. Dennis, want to comment?
I guess if you can't stand the heat, better get out of the kitchen is what I'm thinking. But to me, it sounds like a typical shell game that any governing party plays at election time to get reelected. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol, 2 minutes.
Thank you, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak to this again. And I really think that I just want to share a quote from a gentleman, Greg, that during the announcement, and I'm going to paraphrase, and if I paraphrase incorrectly, I'm sure we'll hear from him. This has been something that has been worked on in Kincardine for 3 decades. Every party has been in government during that time. We made the commitment to this site, and we made this commitment to this site because the community's worked darn hard to make that a reality. And they've made it a reality because of the groundwork, the spade work to make it happen. And I want to congratulate the community for all their hard work. Hats off to them, and I was very pleased to make the commitment on behalf of our government. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please state your name, what part of the riding you're from?
Hi,
Thank you.
my name is Lois Hackett. I'm from here in Kinloss. My question is to Ms. Mitchell. What is your governance plan to improve Kincardine Hospital? And when you've told us what your plan is, then I would like Mr. Robertson and Ms. Thompson to tell us what their plan would be.
Okay. Was that question about governance?
No, my question is what Carol Mitchell's government is planning to do to improve Kincardine Hospital.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you. And I just couldn't hear if it was governance or government. Thank you. I do appreciate the question. And I know that the community, as I stated in my last answer, the community has worked very hard to make the Kincardine Hospital a reality. The foundation, the Ladies Auxiliary, the board, the staff, everyone has worked very hard. I was very pleased to bring forward that we are committed to the hospital site at Kincardine for the redevelopment. And quite frankly, this has been something that they've been working on for a lot of years. In 2007, we announced the funding that gave them the ability to start the planning. It's called the planning grant. So there's a process in place in order for the redevelopment to happen of any hospital site throughout Ontario. It's a very tight timeline. There's a lot of requirements, but I really do believe that those targets can be met because the community has worked so hard to get where they are today. And this is also worth remembering. In the past, the previous government funded at 75%. We're funding at 90%, and the community component is 10%. And that really makes a difference in rural Ontario for the ability to be able to redevelop hospital sites. Thank you.
Okay. And then we wanted Lisa and Grant to respond. So
Do you have an order you want?
she asked for Lisa and then Grant, correct?
Yes.
Whatever.
Okay, with regards to the Kincardine Hospital, with all due respect, it's taken Carol and her team 8 years to pronounce a project that won't happen until 2015 now. And that is just not acceptable. Our plan in terms of the PC party will be to work hard, work with our foundation, Friends of the Hospital, Kincardine Hospital, and work with the foundation responsible for raising the funds and identify the needs together. That's first and foremost. And I want to share with you that we have $35 billion in infrastructure dollars dedicated to the likes of hospital builds, roads, etc. And I'm going to be at the front of the line recognizing the fact that it's been 8 long years that Kincardine has waited for their hospital, and the time is now that it needs to be addressed. And over and above that, we as a PC party are dedicated to trimming the waste. And when I talk about trimming the waste, I'm talking about eliminating unnecessary bureaucratic levels that take money away from that frontline health care, such as hearing. That would be one of the first things to So, and our entire solution will be putting the patient in the center of the solution and working out from there. It won't be a solution driven from the top down. It's going to encompass our doctors, our community, and our patients in the center of it all. Thank you.
Just one thing that I want to correct. It wasn't your government, it was the government of Ontario who was investing in the Kincardine Hospital, and that's supported by all the parties. I want to make that clear. There isn't a political party, including my opponent to the right of me, that is to the left, yeah. I was going to make a joke and then I pulled back from the joke and got the place wrong. But there isn't a political party that is going to pull back that funding. That funding was supported in the legislature. It's part of a program that is there. Last night when I was on the phone with a member of the Friends of the Kincardine Hospital, I gave my personal commitment also as MVP or not MVP, because this is an important community asset to be part of the fundraising, because that's the next part. You can't just to criticize that it won't be until a certain period of time. Well, you just can't wave a magic wand and all the money suddenly appears and all the work is done. It takes a long time. There's a process to go through when you're fundraising. And that's what they're concerned about right now with the Friends of the Kincardine Hospital, is that they're afraid that there'll be a pullback. And right now is when they have to start that process to get forward. So I think the message that needs to come from all the parties here is that that's going to go forward, whoever is elected. It's an important community asset. People have been working on it for a very long time. And we can't go back to the decades of Mike Harris and Ernie Eve, when we saw hospitals in community after threat of closure. That's the wrong way to go. This is the appropriate way to go.